On June 15, 2026, a soccer team landed in Los Angeles. They didn't check into a hotel. They didn't see the city. They didn't even stay the night. They played a World Cup match in front of 70,000 people under more cameras than almost any sporting event in human history. And then they got back on a plane and left the country before midnight. The team was Iran. And the country that built that surveillance apparatus, the one Iran flew into and straight back out of, is the same country that had been bombing them 4 months earlier. This is a story about two things that were never supposed to happen at the same time. The most watched sporting event on Earth and the most watched nation in it. This is the World Cup, and this is who's watching. Let's start with the number, because the number is the story. $875 million. That's how much FEMA put into World Cup security across just the United States portion of this tournament. 16 host cities, 78 matches, the largest security operation ever assembled for a sporting event on American soil. To put that in perspective, that's more than the annual GDP of some of the countries playing in this tournament. And the money didn't go toward metal detectors and extra police shifts. It went somewhere else entirely. It went into your face. At Gillette Stadium in Boston, at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami, at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. Fans don't show a ticket anymore. They show their face, walk up to a camera, get scanned, get matched against a biometric profile you registered weeks earlier, and the gate opens. Want a hot dog? Scan your face again. It's linked to your payment method now too. It feels like magic. It feels like convenience. It is also the single largest civilian biometric data collection event in American history. And that's just the cameras you can see. In Dallas and in New Jersey, four-legged robots built by Boston Dynamics now patrol the stadium perimeters. They're called Spot. Hyundai, FIFA's official mobility partner, supplied them as part of a corporate sponsorship deal. Officials are quick to clarify, these robots don't have facial recognition built in. What they do have is full sensor packages, live video feeds, and the ability to flag suspicious behavior to human officers in real time. A robot that watches you, reports on you, but technically doesn't recognize you. Make of that distinction what you will. Then there's the sky. The New York Police Department's own commissioner said publicly, "If there is one threat that keeps me up at night, it is from drones. Not bombs, not crowds, drones." So the Department of Homeland Security spent over $250 million on counter-drone technology alone. Kinetic interceptor drones built by a company called Fortum Technologies that physically shoot nets at unauthorized aircraft to drag them out of the sky mid-flight. No-fly zones now sit over every stadium, every team hotel, every official fan zone in the country. The FBI has what they call a full suite of options to take down anything that crosses the line. And here's the part almost nobody talks about. These counter-drone systems don't just watch the sky. To detect a drone, you have to monitor radio frequencies and wireless signals across an entire area. Which means, as a side effect, not even a deliberate one, just a consequence of the technology. These systems sweep up data from regular cell phones in the vicinity too. You didn't bring a drone, you just brought a phone. The system doesn't always know the difference. In Seattle alone, the city approved 22 new CCTV cameras specifically for the stadium district. Cameras that don't just record, they retain. They make every frame of footage searchable, indefinitely, across the entire surrounding neighborhood. Lenovo and Booz Allen Hamilton, yes, the same defense contractor that's been embedded in US intelligence work for decades, built full digital twins of these stadiums, virtual replicas fed by live data, used to simulate crowd flow, predict bottlenecks, and run security scenarios before they ever happen in real life. This isn't stadium security anymore. This is a test bed. The Electronic Frontier Foundation's Matthew Guarilia put it simply, This surveillance is infrastructure. And infrastructure once built doesn't get torn down when the tournament ends. Qatar hosted the last World Cup in 2022. They installed over 15,000 cameras for that tournament. Those cameras are still running today. Nobody took them down. The World Cup ended. The watching didn't. So when the final whistle blows in New Jersey this July, the cameras at your local stadium stay. The command centers stay. The expanded camera networks across 16 American cities, they stay too. You came for the soccer. The surveillance is the part that doesn't go home. That's the system the United States built. Now here's the part that should make you uncomfortable. Iran qualified for this World Cup on March 25th, 2025. A 2-2 draw against Uzbekistan sealed by their striker Mehdi Taremi scoring twice. It was their 4th straight World Cup, their 7th overall. Routine, almost. A football story. Nobody in that stadium in Tehran that night could have predicted what would happen next. On February 28, 2026, 11 months after Iran punched their ticket to this tournament, the United States and Israel launched joint airstrikes against Iran. The strikes killed the country's supreme leader, along with several senior political and military officials. Iran struck back. Against Israel, against American interests and allies across the Gulf. The war was still going when the World Cup draw happened in Washington, D.C. It was still going when teams started training camps. It was, as of the most recent reporting, still technically unresolved when the tournament itself kicked off on June 11th. So picture the logistics here. A nation is at war with 2 of the 3 countries co-hosting the World Cup. The U.S., and by extension, the broader conflict zone touching Israel. And that nation's soccer team is contractually, competitively obligated to show up and play. President Trump addressed it directly. In a post on social media, he wrote, "The Iran national soccer team is welcome to the World Cup, but I really don't believe it is appropriate that they be there for their own life and safety." It sounds almost considerate. Read quickly, read again. A sitting U.S. president telling a qualified national team that it would be safer for them not to come to the country he runs. Iran's federation didn't take it quietly. Their official statement back, the United States should be the one excluded, since FIFA, not any individual country, governs the tournament. Their head coach reposted it. Their players' social channels picked it up. Within hours, it was a geopolitical headline wearing a sports story's clothes. Iran's federation president, Mehdi Taj, went further. He posted directly, "When Trump has explicitly stated that he cannot ensure the security of the Iranian National Team, we will certainly not travel to America." They tried to get FIFA to relocate every one of their group matches, 3 games, all originally scheduled for U.S. soil in Los Angeles and Seattle, over the border into Mexico instead. FIFA said no. The schedule, set back in December 2025, stood. Before any of that, there was already a smaller, quieter sign of what was coming. Back in December, Iran boycotted the World Cup draw itself, an event held at the Kennedy Center in Washington, because the State Department denied visas to members of their own delegation. Their federation spokesperson said the obstacles go beyond sports considerations. Their federation president, one of the most senior officials in Asian football, never set foot in the building where his team's group was decided. The U.S. response was blunt. One administration official put it this way: "We will not allow the Iranian team to abuse this system to sneak terrorists into the United States under false pretenses." Read that again. That's not a quote about visa logistics. That's a quote about a national soccer team. And under U.S. immigration policy active this year, Iran sits on a full travel ban list. One of 39 countries facing entry restrictions, one of just 4 World Cup nations on that list at all, alongside Haiti, and partial restrictions for Côte d'Ivoire and Senegal. Athletes get a carve-out, a narrow one. Any athlete or member of an athletic team, including coaches, persons performing a necessary support role. The State Department was clear that only a small subset of travelers would even qualify. Translation: the players might get in. Almost no one else from that country does. So Iran's solution, the actual, real-world fix to flying a war-displaced team into the heart of the country bombing them, was to not really enter the country at all. They built their entire World Cup training base across the border in Tijuana, Mexico, not Tucson, Arizona, where they were originally scheduled to stay. That plan collapsed when visas were denied to members of the coaching and federation staff. Mexico became the fallback, the safe house, the country willing to host a team the United States wasn't sure it wanted inside its own borders. A bus carrying the Iranian National Team to a training session in Tijuana was escorted by Mexico's National Guard. Think about that image for a second. The National Guard of a third country escorting a soccer team because the country they're actually scheduled to play in couldn't fully guarantee otherwise. This is how Iran qualified for the most surveilled World Cup in history. Now here's what happened when they actually had to walk into it. June 15th, 2026. Los Angeles Stadium, Inglewood, Iran versus New Zealand. Group G, the opening match of Iran's entire tournament. By the time their bus crossed from Tijuana into the United States that day, every player on it had already passed through one of the most surveilled border and stadium pipelines ever built for a sporting event. The same facial recognition gates, the same drone no-fly zones, the same counter-drone radio sweep that, as a side effect, pulls data from nearby phones. Their phones? Their staff's phones? The match itself, a 2-2 draw, politically charged, doesn't begin to cover it. Reporters on the ground described it exactly that way, politically charged, and not because of anything that happened on the scoreboard. Here's what happened after the final whistle. The Iranian delegation didn't go back to a hotel to rest. They didn't get a recovery day. According to their own federation's complaint, filed days later with FIFA, the team left the United States within hours of the match ending, around 8 p.m. local time, and flew straight back to their base camp in Tijuana the same night. Every match, every single one of Iran's group games on U.S. soil, in Los Angeles and later in Seattle, followed the same pattern. Fly in from Mexico, clear customs, play 90 minutes of World Cup football in front of tens of thousands of people, and a facial recognition entry system, and fly back out before the night is over. No hotel stay, no recovery window, no margin for delay. One analyst close to the situation summed up the stakes bluntly. Everything has to go by schedule. There's a lot of preparations. The last thing you want to deal with is a TSA issue, and that's going to reflect very badly on the US. A TSA issue for a World Cup team. Think about how small that phrase sounds and how much pressure sits underneath it. Iran's federation went public with their frustration. Their spokesperson said the team had submitted its preparation schedule well in advance and still encountered restrictions that disrupted their technical staff's plans. They confirmed a formal complaint to FIFA was coming. The US side pushed back against the characterization. The official record on exactly what was promised and what was delivered remains contested, which is, in itself, the point. Even the facts of how this team was treated are something the two sides can't agree on in real time while it's happening. And underneath all of it, the other story keeps running in the background. Los Angeles has one of the largest Iranian American populations in the country. A population that includes people who fled the current regime and people who still support a government from before it. Analysts had been warning for months about exactly this. The risk of clashing protests inside the stands themselves, layered on top of a war, layered on top of a tournament wrapped in more surveillance technology than has ever been pointed at a crowd of sports fans before. One regional expert, watching all of this unfold, made the comparison explicit. This isn't 1998 France, where Iranian and American fans posed for photos together outside the stadium. Nobody expects that image this time. So picture the full shape of it. A team flying in from a country the United States bombed 4 months earlier, landing in a city with deep Iranian diaspora roots on both sides of a domestic political divide. Walking through facial recognition gates built with hundreds of millions of federal security dollars, playing under drone interception zones designed to shoot nets out of the sky, having their staff's phones potentially swept by radio frequency monitoring, never built with them specifically in mind, but never excluding them either, and then leaving. Same day, every time, back across the border to a country that agreed to host them when their own opponent host couldn't fully promise their safety. They are, by a wide margin, the single most watched, most tracked, most logged visiting delegation in the entire tournament. And they're also the delegation the host nation has been the most publicly ambivalent about wanting there at all. Step back from the scoreboard for a second. The United States built the most extensive civilian biometric surveillance operation in its history. $875 million, facial recognition at the gates, robot dogs on patrol, drones that shoot nets out of the sky, radio sweeps that catch your phone whether you meant to be caught or not, and told the world it was all in the name of safety, convenience, a smoother way to watch a game. And then the one national team this apparatus was arguably built to watch most closely, a team from a country the host nation was, by its own president's words, actively at war with months earlier, had to build an entire shadow operation just to survive showing up. A foreign training base, a foreign government's National Guard as an escort, same-day flights in and out, every match, with no margin for a single delay. So, ask the question the scoreboard never answers. Who in this story is actually the one under surveillance? Is it the Iranian players, tracked at every gate, scanned at every entry point, flying in and out of a hostile host country with the precision of a military operation, because anything less risks their safety? Or is it the 80,000 American fans sitting in those stands, faces scanned for entry, payments linked to biometric profiles, phones swept by counter-drone radio systems they never opted into? All of it justified as protection from a threat that, in this particular case, walked through customs, played 90 minutes of football, and left before the cameras even finished processing their faces? The infrastructure built for this tournament isn't going anywhere when the final whistle blows in July. The cameras at Gillette Stadium, at Hard Rock, at Mercedes-Benz, they stay. The command centers stay. The expanded networks across 16 American cities, they stay too. Qatar's 15,000 cameras from 2022 never came down. There's no reason to believe this will be any different, which means the real legacy of this World Cup might not be a trophy at all. It might be the moment the United States quietly normalized watching everyone, the visiting nation it was bombing 4 months earlier, and the citizens cheering in the stands right next to them. Under the exact same justification, with the exact same technology, and almost nobody stopping to ask which one of those groups the system was actually built for. The world came to watch a game. The cameras came to watch the world. And somewhere in Tijuana tonight, a bus is waiting to cross back over a border, carrying a team that came to play and left as fast as they were allowed to.